All right, let's get right into it. We're talking about one of the hottest topics in Dallas real estate right now, building a backyard home. You know, an accessory dwelling unit or ADU. But the one question on everyone's mind is, what's it really going to cost? Let's dig in and find out.
So, you're thinking about it, right? You can picture it already, that perfect backyard cottage. Maybe it's a home office, a cool rental spot for some extra income, or a place for your in-laws. But hold on. Before we get lost in the floor plans and design ideas, we have to tackle the big one. What is the actual price tag for one of these things in a Dallas backyard?
Okay, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. The number you need to know is $210,000. That's the median cost for a brand new detached ADU in Dallas right now. Now, I don't know if that number just made your jaw hit the floor or if you were kind of expecting it. But either way, stick around, because we are about to break down exactly where every single one of those dollars is going.
So, the first question is, why? Why so much here in Dallas? You might hear stories from friends building in other parts of North Texas for way less, and you're not wrong. The thing is, building right inside the Dallas city limits, well, it's a whole different ballgame. It comes with its own unique set of challenges that really drive up the cost.
It really boils down to three main things. First up, you've got higher labor rates. I mean, it's just a fact. Skilled tradespeople here in the Metroplex, they cost about 15 to 25% more. Then, second, you have the logistics of it all. We're talking about building in tight, established neighborhoods, which just adds a whole layer of complexity. But it's this third thing, the actual ground beneath our feet, that is the real Dallas game changer.
Yeah, this quote really hits the nail on the head. See, Dallas is famous for its expansive clay soil. What does that mean? Well, when it gets wet, it swells up, and when it dries out, it shrinks. And that movement, it's powerful enough to literally snap a normal concrete foundation in two. It's no joke. So to fight that, you need a seriously beefed up, specially engineered foundation, and that can add tens of thousands of dollars to your project before you've even put up a single 2x4.
All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. Let's take that $210,000 figure and see where all that money is actually going on a typical project.
So here's the breakdown. As you can see, the biggest slice of the pie, about a quarter of the budget, is the structure itself. You know, the framing, the walls, the roof. But look at this piece here. Site prep and foundation. That's 15%. On a $210,000 build, that's over 30 grand. And a huge chunk of that is because of that tricky clay soil we were just talking about. The rest, you know, your interior and exterior finishes, utilities, permits, it all adds up pretty fast.
Okay, now this next part is super important. A lot of times when you get a quote from a builder, it covers the construction, the sticks and bricks part, but what it often leaves out is a whole bunch of other things people call soft costs. And trust me, these are things you have to pay for, and they can be a massive surprise if you're not ready.
Yeah, this is the stuff that can really catch you off guard. We're talking about your architectural and structural plans, your city permits and fees, that soil report we mentioned, and the big one, connecting the utilities. Just digging a trench from the main house to the ADU for water and sewer, that can be a huge expense all by itself. Seriously, these are the exact kinds of costs that can totally wreck a budget if you haven't planned for them from the very beginning.
Okay, so all this budget talk is one thing, but what does it look like in the real world? Let's check out 3 actual, recent projects from right here in Dallas. This will give you a much better feel for how these costs come together for different kinds of builds.
This table really tells the story. Take a look at the Oak Cliff project, a garage conversion for $162,000. Now, why was that one cheaper? Big reason, they used the existing foundation. Then you have the Lakewood project. This was a new build, and it had to match the main home's historic style, which adds cost. That one came in at $235,000. And then, way up in North Dallas, a bigger, totally custom ADU with all the high-end finishes, that one hit $315,000. So you can see right there how much things like size, style, and your choice of finishes can really swing the final price.
All right, we've talked about the costs, the sneaky hidden fees, we've looked at some real-life examples. So now for what you've probably been waiting for. How in the world do you keep all of this under control and actually stick to your budget?
Listen, if you take one thing away from this, let it be this. You must have a contingency fund. This is not optional. The rule of thumb is to set aside an extra 10 to 15% of your total budget. And please, don't think of this as extra money. It's not. This is the money for the oops moments, the unexpected problems, or even more likely for the changes you decide you want to make during construction. If you don't have it, you're just setting yourself up for a whole lot of stress.
So how do you avoid as many of those surprises as possible? It all comes down to getting a bulletproof quote from your contractor. I'm telling you, A vague, one-page estimate, that is a giant red flag. What you want is a super detailed document with line items for everything, from the specific cost of the foundation to the exact dollar allowance for your kitchen cabinets. It has to spell out who's paying for permits, who's handling cleanup, and what the warranty covers. Think of this checklist as your best friend in this whole process.
And that really brings us to the final, most important piece of advice. When you're looking at different bids from contractors, it is so tempting to just skip to the bottom line number. Please resist that urge. The real secret to a successful project is to compare how complete and detailed the bids are, because 9 times out of 10, the most detailed bid is the most honest one. A super low, vague bid, that's not a deal. It's a disaster waiting to happen. So hopefully, with this clearer picture of the real costs, you can make the best decision for you and your backyard.